Chapter 10. Marianne took a ragged breath and lifted her chin. I apologize for deceiving you. I promised Juan when he taught me your language that I will not speak it without his permission. Amanda stiffened. And why have you done so now? You have made a great sacrifice in allowing me to go free. I want you to know my gratitude, and to be honest, you have heard every word. His words were devoid of emotion. See, she hesitated. Without the knowledge, I would not have known your compassion for Lafleur. She glanced down at Diablo's bridle in her hands and attempted to focus on her pendants dangling from the leather straps. Fighting her inner turmoil, she met his dark eyes. Never have I seen such unselfish devotion. As Amanda stepped closer, the stallion raised his heel and snorted. Hush, Diablo, she said in Spanish and stroked his neck. Amanda ceased his stride and smiled. Does he not care if you speak to him in Spanish or English? Marianne smiled in return and relaxed slightly. No, he knows my voice. A cloud of silence fell upon them. She wanted to finish saddling Diablo before someone or something changed his mind. There are many things I would like to say to you, he said. Many things I would like to ask. I should be angry that you know so much about me, for now it's harder to let you go. He started her. Saddle your horse, senorita. The time has come for me to escort you home. Gracias. My name is Marianne. A pretty name for a pretty solita. She turned to finish preparing Diablo for the ride home and saw Amelia bringing the dun gelding to Armando. We are ready to leave, Armando said to his friend. I'll be back late this night or mañana. Be careful, Armando. Senor Philip's men could be waiting for you. I will. I realize this marks the beginning of more trouble. Philip had not taken my decision lightly. Amelia nodded. I will pray. We will leave for the mission at San Jose as soon as I return. Keep men posted in case of attack. Marianne mounted Diablo's unassisted while the two men conversed. She knew Papa would not give up pursuing ownership of their valley. He might use her abduction as an excuse to take revenge upon Armando and his people. Greed ruled her father's motives, nothing more. If only Papa would look beyond her agenda and see how much she needed him. Marianne and Armando rode up the worn path away from Lafleur, freedom awaiting her, and she praised God for his deliverance and for touching her life with his spirit. Armando stopped his horse at the top of the winding path and took a long look back at the valley. She too turned and studied Lafleur, perplexed at her mixed feelings of what had happened over the past 3 days. How could life change so quickly in a short time? A part of her wanted to stay. A part of her wished she'd never met Armando Garcia and witnessed his devotion to his people. If you were a man, I'd ask you to join us. She had earned the respect of her father's enemy. Qué bonito. Lafleur is lovely, she said. I too would not want to leave a home as beautiful as this. The beauty of the valley and the people living here are the same. Apart, the land would become overgrown and useless, and without our homes, we have no purpose. The sunlight glistened on his black hair and framed his face and shoulders. To Marianne, he appeared noble, a true leader. She turned to gaze at a small flock of sheep in the distance. I will do everything I can to persuade Papa. She remembered her betrothal to Don Lorenzo and wondered if she possessed bargaining power for the valley in her upcoming marriage. The thought of spending the rest of her life with the Spanish aristocrat left her feeling empty and longing for a sweeter life. She could only hope the marriage offered a blessing. I am sure Senor Phillips does not appreciate his daughter taking sides against him. This is not the only matter that he and I have disagreed upon. She paused before saying more. Juan Torres has been more of a papa to me than my own. I know he came to the village yesterday. Her eyes widened. Juan? But his leg. You are like one of his children. She swallowed her tears. They reined their horses towards the east. Diablo tossed his head, anxious to run, but Marianne soothed him. Hush, my prince, it's too soon to race. How did you tame him? Armando cast an admiring glance at the white stallion. She patted the animal's neck. My father caught him with a herd of mustangs when he refused the bridle and saddle. Papa labelled him crazy at Diablo. His independent spirit intrigued me, and when no one was around, I made my way to the stable to see him. He responded well to my voice and touch, and I simply used kindness until he trusted me. For some reason, Diablo has never let anyone but one or me near him. It has always frustrated Papa. I see you have a special way with wild stallions. No, she smiled. I prefer to think Diablo wanted someone to love and who would return his affection. The stallion is no different from many men. Her cheeks warmed. Had he referred to himself? The horses picked their way over the hilltop until the flat plain stretched out before them. Both animals pulled to run, but Armando and Marianne preferred them to walk. Against the slow crop of the horses stepping around the rock, Armando turned to her. Senorita, I wish our paths had crossed under better circumstances. I regret the difference separating us, and I do as well, she said, amazed at her boldness. The valley. If only Papa could perceive how much you meant to your people. He drew a heavy breath. LaFleur is not the only problem. I'm your father's enemy. He has already sworn to kill me. But I will tell her how you set me free, Marianne said. Perhaps he will listen. Armando laughed. Senorita, have you forgotten who broke into your home, abducted you, and stole horses and weapons? Philippe may have been the one to seize his daughter and his property, but I am the leader. I have no intention of returning any of those things. But you, Senor Phillips, will not rest until I'm dead. Be certain of that. The gravity of his words stunned her. Even so, he spoke the truth. She felt naive, simple-minded. I'm sorry. I hadn't considered everything. Distress etched his brow and his dark eyes narrowed. I don't blame you. It's the ruthless Spanish and men like your father who are greedy. Marianne glanced away. I know what Papa is, Armando, but there's no need to remind me. Have I angered you? No, Papa always grieved me. I wish he were different. Marianne shrugged. He wanted Hydra, not a daughter, and he's always been disappointed. You see, Papa would never have bargained with you for LaFleur. He does not realize his treasure. He held out his horse and looked across the sparsely grassland dotted with junipers and mesquite. He wiped the perspiration from his face with his bandana and glanced up at the sun, slowly moving towards the west. In one breath he was humiliated that a mere girl had deceived him, almost angry that she had been privy to all his babbling. In the next breath he realized for her sake he should not say more. The idea of becoming more acquainted with her, even the mere chance of seeing her again, warred against his logic and reasoning. The mestizo and the elite, the fugitive and the innocent, Diablo and the angel. For the first time in his 25 years, Armando had an inkling of how his parents might have felt. He realized that if he had stared into the depths of Marianne's blue-grey eyes a moment longer, he would be tempted to see her again. Perhaps his father had done all he could for Armando's mother, and lost. Armando remembered the man had been affectionate, giving, and had treated his mother with love, but still he had abandoned them and never returned. Marianne, forgive me for tearing you from your home and exposing you to danger. Spur on your magnificent stallion and right back to your life at the Phillips hacienda. Armando, I will pray for you. She smiled, an image he would seal in his memory. And will you go to the missions and light candles for me? Melancholia tore through him. I'm afraid the padres do not think highly of me and my hombres. She shook her head. I'm not Catholic, although I know my father had to declare an allegiance to your faith in order to acquire his land. But my pleas will go to the same Dios Salvador. I'll pray for your safety and for the people of LaFleur. Very well, my people need prayers for what lies ahead. May life be good to you, Senorita Marianne. Do not linger. Who knows what evil men may be lurking. I shall be careful. Adios. She dug her heels into the side of the stallion and carried away from him forever. Chapter 11. Armando watched Marianne and Diablo vanish into the distance. As fleetingly as she had stepped into his life, she had left him, leaving a bittersweet agony in his heart. He stood alone, hearing nothing but the call of a distant crow and the echo of their parting words that she would pray for him and his people. Must he be destined to live his life in solitude? A warm breeze swept across his face, and for a moment its coolness refreshed him. How long before his memory of Marianne faded into obscurity, until she became a fond passing of a sweet senorita who had touched his life. Armando clenched his jaw. He could not cast her aside as casually as she had tossed her burnt gown from the fire. His heart would not allow it. He resented the pain and discomfort he knowingly inflicted upon her. She should loathe him, vow to have him punished for subjecting her to his ill treatment. Yet Marianne's first words to him in his native Spanish spoke of her respect for his cause. Did she truly possess such a spirit of forgiveness? He remembered the softness in her eyes and the smooth flow of her voice. If his life had not been wrenched from him by his commitment to his people, he would have begged for her to stay, but the insurmountable walls dividing them had prohibited such folly. He had nothing to offer such a woman, no title, no vast estate, not even a firm belief in anything except the toil of his hands. He rode towards the valley. Philippe and his followers, who advocated violence, were frustrated over Marianne's release and were certain to spread dissension. The same men questioned Armando's leadership and looked to Philippe for guidance. If Armando's position was challenged, who would stand with him and who would stand with Philippe? Would civil unrest divide the people of La Flore? Armando had agreed to appeal to the padres of the San Jose mission, but he felt the endeavour was foolish. The padres possessed less power than they once did with the Spanish aristocrats, though the dark-robed men were still highly respected. A Spanish gentleman always listened to the wisdom of the padres, for they knew Dios' laws and the mandates of Spain. However, Armando believed the padres would soon be administrators of the sacraments and teachers. In the last few years, the missions had slowly deteriorated. The farming and ranching around the fortress, which had kept them alive in the past, now dwindled. Most of the mestizos had been converted, and many of them wanted land of their own, despite the advantages of living behind stone walls that protected them from marauding Comanches and Apaches. Armando sympathized with the mission inhabitants as well as he understood the people of La Flore. If the mestizos must subject themselves to Spanish rule, then those in control should allow the poor to live in their own land. Stealing, kidnapping, and threatening murder fell under the jurisdiction of the Spanish, and for Armando to plead the dire circumstance of La Flore to the padres sounded useless, but he had promised to try, yet seeking help for his people might get him hung. Armando took a laboured breath and focused attention on the problems before him. Could he delude the padres about his lack of faith and convince them to act favourably towards La Flore? If he truly dedicated himself to his people, then why did he hesitate to lie in the padres about his relationship with Dios? Even Armando Garcia had his limitations. Shortly after dusk, he reached the top of the ridge overlooking the valley and stopped to gaze out over its twilight beauty. The placid scene never ceased to inspire and swell his heart with pride. He believed its splendour held the meaning of his life. Without this cause, a home for his beloved people, he possessed nothing. His thoughts kept returning to Marianne, willing the sadness to flee his mind. Armando began the winding descent to the village. Tonight he needed to hear Emilio's convictions about approaching the padres at the San Jose mission. He waved at Pepe, stationed with a torch at a point above him. Everything quiet, mi amigo? Nothing to report but grazing cattle. Bueno. Cows do not carry weapons, Armando chuckled. Do you know where I might find Emilio? On the far ridge. Pepe stood and pointed. Gracias. Well, right at daybreak, Armando reined his horse to the northern lookout and hoped Emilio guarded the post alone. As he rode closer, a light from a small fire revealed his friend's position. Emilio, are you asleep? Armando suppressed a laugh. I was until a wild vaquero waked me. Laughter rose from the deep within Armando, the first today. As he felt its release from all his burdens, he dismounted and led his horse towards the flickering light. I didn't expect you back this soon, Emilio said, but I'm glad you're here. The sound of the crackling fire lulled Armando into low spirits. I saw no use in tarrying with the señorita, he shrugged. What are a few days? I will forget her. Will she forget you? Armando tossed a drastic into the fire. Of course, I'm sure she has many suitors, certainly none who held her against her will. He threatened to kill her. None like Armando Garcia. Amelia peered into his face. I know you would like to see her again. He shook his head in effort to deny his heart. She told me, adios. We have our own worlds. Wise, but it still saddens me for you. A coyote cried out on the next hill, and Armando acknowledged its solitary wail with a grim look in the animal's direction. He knows how I feel, but I didn't come here to grieve. I need to discuss plans for tomorrow. Amelia nodded. Who is the best choice to sympathize with us? I have been thinking about that, San Antonio de Valera may be dangerous with the presidio located nearby. We're not like to fight the Spanish soldados, and if Governor Juan Hostitas El Guabel has learned of the kidnapping, we could be arrested. I too have considered arrest, or shot or hung. Armando studied the face of his friends, expecting him to flinch, but Amelia remained calm. Padre Bernardino Velo has been kind to our people. I believe he will try to help. The padres usually side with us in matters of dispute. Amelia took a swallow of water from a canteen. You have been educated to speak properly. Perhaps you can word what happened with Senor Phillips and his daughter in a convincing manner. Armando has considered the request. I'll prepare an accounting of our problem. How early do you wish to leave? At daybreak. With you, Pepe. The rest need to stay here and protect the valley. We have to trust Dios to protect those we love. For you, that is good. Armando talked with Amelia late into the night, forming the entreaty to the Padre Valio. When the wording was finished, they turned to reminisce about their younger days, teasing and reminding each other of boyhood pranks. Remember when Philippe put up a frog in the Padre's chalice? Amelia laughed, and how angry the Padre became when none of us would confess. I will never forget the expression on his face when he reached for the chalice during Mass. The whipping was worth seeing the Padre angry. After their laughter subsided, Armando glanced up into his friend's face. I miss you after our schooling. The valley was empty without you. Someday our son will create the same kind of mischief. Amelia paused. I've forgotten. How many years did you spend at the mission under the Padre? To train for the priesthood. Armando whispered, far too long. 4 years. His friend leaned into fire. You've been gone for 7. What happened? And one day you were full of love for ideas, then it disappeared. I had no reason to continue. My father deserted us, and my mother died, so you blame Dios. No, I cannot cast the guilt on something I do not believe in. I woke one morning at the mission, realized a Dios did not exist. My vow of love for all men didn't encompass my Spanish father or the wealthy landowner, so I gathered my belongings and came home to Rosa and Manuel. Amelia stared into the firelight, then lifted his gaze to Armando. I've always prayed for you, whether you decided or not, and I will continue. I believe in Dios, and He alone can quench the restless spirit. I should be grateful. Amelia smiled into the firelight. We are honest, mi amigo. One day you will see the truth. Armando sought to change the conversation and choose to stand and stretch. His body ached, even if his mind refused to rest. Too many nights robbed of sleep had begun to take his strength. In the starless night, he spotted a man carrying a torch up to the ridge. Your relief is here. We can walk back together and get some rest before mañana. And you, mi amigo, will you sleep this night, or will you roam the hills with the problems before us? Armando chuckled. I'm glad you are not my enemy, for you know me too well. Chapter 12. Mounted on Diablo, Marianne galloped across the plains of her father's vast estate. Familiar landmarks and the joy of returning home should have elated her, but instead she grappled with the plight of the people in La Flor and her strange reaction to their leader. Marianne had seen this man become transparent with his feelings. She sensed his pain for the circumstances plaguing his people, and she witnessed his devotion to those destined to their homes, unless her father abandoned his selfish desires. Oh Lord, I feel so wretched. I am grateful for deliverance, but shall I never see Armando or the people of La Flor again? Digging her heels into Diablo's flanks, Marianne fretted that her father might send soldiers to crush the rebels of La Flor. She must arrive before he took such action. Even so, she knew her return would not quite quell his desire to have the fertile valley. Papa would still wage his war against Armando just as he'd done in the past. Too many burdens fought for priority in her mind. Marianne recognized the need to see her mother and have her comforting arms soothe the perils of the past few days. More importantly, Marianne longed to tell her about her own renewed faith in the midst of the turmoil, the times that God whispered to her of His love and His presence. She felt certain her mother had prayed for her liberation, and so had Juan and Camila. They must be properly thanked, but she dared not disclose all the happenings to Mama without admitting her understanding of Spanish and her sympathies for her abductors. So much must be kept hidden, even from Juan and Camila. She could not involve any of her previous family. Most of all, no one could ever learn of her reaction to Papa's enemy. The thought of spending the rest of her life with Don Lorenzo, a man she did not love, now seemed more distasteful than ever. Marianne swiped a tear trickling over her cheek, but she had given Mama her word. Hope gave rise to another possibility. Perhaps with the trauma of her kidnapping, all plans for the wedding might be postponed, but extending the date didn't stop the inevitable. In the far distance, the faint outlines of the casa and barns came into view. A mixture of apprehension and dread took form. The unpredictable nature of her father. Until now, she hadn't wanted to consider that he might prefer her gone from his life, except that he would lose a share in the elderly Don Lorenzo's estate. Evening had settled about her by the time she rode alongside the stable. She spied Thomas, Juan, and Camida's eldest son. He shouted a greeting, then quickly disappeared into the stables. Her heart swelled that her first welcome came from her adopted family. Moments later, Juan pushed open the stable door. Senorita Marianne! His voice rose as he leaped towards her. She wished she could see his face in the twilight, but the sound of his voice was enough to fill her with joy. Tio, Juan! Marianne jumped from Diablo and ran into his outstretched arms. You're not hurt, he said in English, his words filled with emotion. I'm fine, Armando, let me go, she said as he released his embrace. I fear I would never see you again, Carmita. I fear we'll never see you again, Carmita again. We prayed for you, Juan wiped at his cheeks. I know you did, she lowered her voice, and I know you came to the floor and pled for me. Armando told you, bewildered soared from his words. I may have been wrong about him, he cocked his head. You spoke Spanish to your captor? Marianne held her breath. Not until I knew for certain he planned to release me. I told him this afternoon. Ah, my sweet child, he could have hurt you with that knowledge. I felt at least one Phillips should be straightforward with him, she said. Are you angry? In the shadow she could see his smile. How could I be angry? You are home, our prayers are answered. Marianne glanced at the house. Is Mia Madre all right? Juan grasped her hands, and she felt the strength of his spirit sustain her. The Signora is very sad. She needs to see you at once. Go to her now, and I will take care of Diablo. Marianne's heart quickened. Yes, I have missed her. Tell Carmita and the others gracias for their prayers. Tomorrow I will come and thank them properly. She turned around and appeared at the impressive adobe house in the ever-increasing darkness. Her home should have represented security and familiarity instead of the mixed emotions that rippled through her. Most likely nothing had changed with Papa, and how wonderful to think he might have worried about her. She made her way up the tiled entryway, brushed past the thick-leaf palms, and envisioning spring's fragrant display of colourful flowers, she pushed open the door. The thought of annoying her arrival crossed her mind, but instead she walked through the candlelit reception room and down the hallway to her mother's bedroom. The sights and smells were the same, but something different seized her. Lifting her chin, she realized she'd been the one to change in her relationship with Jesus and in the awakening of the world around her. No longer could she consider herself a girl. Her experience had made her a woman. Out of respect, she paused in the doorway of her mother's room and did not rush inside. The sight of Mom's beloved face moved her to a fresh onslaught of tears. She looked so frail beneath the blanket covering her weakened body, her pale face matching the bed linens. Her mother's eyelids fluttered, and she reached out to Marianne. Am I dreaming? Are you standing before me? Mama! Marianne hurried to her and slipped into her mother's outstretched arms. I'm home. I've been set free, unharmed. Her mother stroked Marianne's head. The soft scent of rose surrounded her and hit the bed clothes. Marianne had forgotten the solace of fragrance invoked upon her. I fear you're gone from me forever, her mother whispered. I could not bear to spend another day without you. What caused that wretched man to let you go? I'm not sure. Guilt riddled Marianne for the half-truth. Maybe he feared what Papa would do. She raised her head to gaze at her mother's face. I worried so, with no one to care for you. Her mother wept. Me, but you were the one in the clutches of an insane rebel. How like you to concern yourself with me. God has answered my prayers. Marianne sobered and brushed back an errant lock of hair, light brown hair from her mother's forehead. Mine too, Mama. He gave me strength when I wanted to give up. He became my hope and strength. He sent me home to you. Her mother put Marianne close to her. My beautiful child, he's always been with you. It took the fear of losing my life to realize his everlasting love, and Jesus kept me safe as though I dwelled in the palm of his hand. Biting her lips to cease another flow of tears, Marianne attempted to sound light. But I'm not beautiful, Mama. I desperately need a bath. Her mother laughed and ran her fingers through Marianne's tangled tresses. What goes on here? Marianne instantly turned to you, her father towering in the doorway. Marianne, he said, and she thought she saw a flicker of tenderness in his blue-grey eyes. With a slight prodding, she would have gladly flown into his arm. A moment later, his glare flashed with a cold regard. Garcia released you? She stood up from Mama's bed to offer him her respect. Her legs shook from the old familiar fear of him. Yes, Papa, he let me go. What changed his mind? Did he fear I would track him down like an animal he is? I don't know. Marianne stiffened. She decided to defend Amanda and his pride. What he had allowed in her abduction was a terrible wrong. Nothing changed, but she understood his reason. Her mother slipped her clammy hand into Marianne. Your clothes, what happened to your gown you were wearing the night you were taken? Her mother asked, no doubt tempted to soften her father's questioning. Marianne glanced back at her, but her face her father before replying. Burn, his face reddened. That's it. Fire to your dress? He shook his head. No, Papa, a fire broke out in the village and I was trapped inside a hut. Her mother grasped, and Marianne squeezed her hand to reassure her. I was pulled from the flames, but the house and my clothing were destroyed. The women gave me those to wear. So LaFleur had a little flyer. The whole place should have been burnt to the ground with all those blasted Mexicans in it. Marianne's cheeks grew hot. But our daughter is home safe. Mama lifted her head from the pillow. We thought our daughter was gone from this world. Let us rejoice in her deliverance. Oppressive silence followed. The matter is not finished. Now that you are here, I will make a trip to the governor and see about ridding LaFleur of all those thieving, treacherous Mexicans. Marianne caught her breath at the moment of tragedy befalling the villagers. Papa, it's not necessary. I'm home safe. She saw anger storm across his features. Are you defending these animals? Make me wonder what you did to have Garcia return you. Weston. Never had Marianne seen her mother in this temperament. How could you suggest such a detestable thing from our daughter? Marianne sensed the colour draining from her own face, first from shock, then indignation. Papa, she said through a ragged breath. Marianne sat into mother's bed, dazed by implications. I could never. No, Papa, please don't think I ever do such a thing. I simply mean there are innocent women and children in the village. Slaughter them all. He rubbed his chest, a mannerism she'd seen of late when he was angry. I meant to have their valley before Garcia ordered his men to break into my home, and I still intend to have it, and him dead along with it. Remember our guest, her mother said. Marianne gazed questioning at his mother. Don Lorenzo is here. Mama glared at Papa. He was kind enough to ride back with your father when you received word of kidnapping. Papa took his fist at Marianne. And you better not have done anything to jeopardize your marriage to the Don. Marianne tried to swallow the rising fury coursing through her body. She clenched her fist and dug her fingernails into her palm. Of course not, Papa. I know how important your hand is to you, and inquiring what is your greatest love. He lifted his hand, and for a moment she feared he would strike her. Never had she openly defied him with such intensity. Weston, Marianne is exhausted from this ordeal, her mother said. His eyes narrowed before he turned from the room. His footsteps thundered down the hall, shaking the candle by Mama's bedside. All he cares about is himself, land and power, no matter what the cost. I'm afraid he'll soon have his wish. Please calm yourself. Mama seemed to read her thoughts. He doesn't mean what he says. Marianne could not bring herself to look into Mother's face. Yes, he does. You know it's true. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Remorse washed over her fury. I'm sorry, Mama. God forgive me for what I'm thinking about, Papa. God understands our trials and pains. I know, but it hurts to realize Papa does not love you or me. Some days I think I would do anything to gain his approval. Other days I don't care any longer. Oh, but he loves you. Her mother lay back onto the pillow. Your father simply doesn't know how to express his feelings. In the candlelight, Mama's blue eyes were warm and gentle. How can she defend Papa? How can she love him? He surely has no problem in demonstrating his disapproval or anger. She stared at her mother's hand, still encircling hers. Those are the easy emotions, her mother said. Admitting love means giving of yourself with no assurance of receiving anything in return. But that is the way Jesus instructed us, Marianne said. I believe my death would have grieved him only because he could not add more land from the dawn. You must love your Papa unconditionally, no matter what happens. This is the true test of love for our Lord. Marianne leaned into the shelter of the mother's embrace. I will pray for Papa and try to be more obedient. Good, her mother said. You are much like him. It frustrates your Papa to see an image of himself in you. Me? She shuddered. Where do you think you get your independent mind or your love for horses? When I see you two battle wits, I see the same fire in your blue-grey eyes and the same stubborn stance. Yes, you are your father's daughter. I firmly believe it will be you who brings him to the Lord, not me. I think not, Mama. Perhaps you merely want it to be so, but I pray for him, so no matter how difficult it may be. Her mother planted a kiss on her cheek. We shall see. Right now you need to recover from the turmoil over the past 3 days. It needs to be forgotten. Go on now and bathe in the morning. No, wearily agreed. Much had occurred in her mind, spun with all the events. Armando, the people of La Flor, Don Lorenzo, Mama's unconditional love for Papa, and her new attempts to understand Papa. Tomorrow things had to be better. She could sort through it all then with better understanding. Thanks for listening.